Trump meets Syria's Ahmed al-Sharaa as US eases sanctions. A new chapter or a calculated move. On November 10, 2025, US President Donald Trump met with Syrian leader Ahmed al-Sharaa at the White House, marking a historic yet controversial moment in global diplomacy. This was the first official visit by a Syrian head of state to Washington since Syria gained independence in 1946. The meeting came alongside a major policy shift. The United States announced a 6-month suspension of key sanctions on Syria under the Caesar Act, a law that had long restricted Damascus from international financial access. The meeting and what was discussed. According to the Syrian presidency, the two leaders discussed ways to strengthen and develop bilateral relations and explored regional and international issues of mutual concern. President Trump described al-Sharaa as a tough guy from a tough place, adding, "I like him." When reporters questioned al-Sharaa's past ties to extremist groups, Trump brushed it aside with the remark, "We've all had rough pasts." From Washington's perspective, the Treasury Department clarified that the temporary sanctions relief was intended to support Syria's rebuilding efforts, improve conditions for all its citizens, and enhance counterterrorism cooperation. The 6-month period provides Syria with breathing room, but the restrictions are not fully removed. Congress would have to approve a permanent repeal. Who is Ahmed al-Sharaa? Al-Sharaa's background makes this meeting all the more remarkable. Before rising to power, he was a former commander of Syria's branch of al-Qaeda and later led the group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham under the name Abu Mohammed al-Jawlani. Following the collapse of the Assad regime, al-Sharaa reinvented himself, re-entering public life under his real name and pledging a new, moderate vision for Syria. In recent years, he has addressed the United Nations, promoted reconciliation among religious and ethnic groups, and advocated for an inclusive and tolerant Syria. The United States, meanwhile, formally acknowledged that Syria has now joined the global coalition against ISIS and will soon reopen its embassy in Washington, signaling a cautious step toward normalization. Muted optics but major symboli. While the symbolism of the visit was enormous, the tone was deliberately restrained. Al-Sharaa entered the White House through a side door. There was no public handshake on the lawn, no official dinner, and no joint press conference. Yet, behind closed doors, the conversation marked a clear pivot in U.S.-Syria relations, and a re-entry of Syria into the global diplomatic stage after more than a decade of isola. Tyon. Why the U.S. made this move, the strategic back. Game beneath the public smiles and political statements lies a much deeper calculation. A back game that reveals both countries' strategic ambitions. Counterterrorism cooperation. For the United States, the number one priority remains preventing a resurgence of ISIS and other extremist groups in Syria. By engaging with al-Sharaa's government, Washington gains access to valuable intelligence networks and cooperation on security operations across northern Syria. Containing Iran's influence. Syria has long been one of Iran's closest regional allies. By opening diplomatic doors, Washington aims to pull Damascus away from Tehran's orbit, weakening Iran's strategic reach from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. Improving Israel-Syria relations. Analysts, including Thomas Warwick of the Atlantic Council, have noted that the U.S. hopes Syria might one day join the Abraham Accords, which would reshape regional dynamics and reduce tensions with Israel. That goal may still be distant, but this meeting planted the first diplomatic seed. Domestic and political optics. For President Trump, this meeting fits into his narrative of bringing peace to the Middle East. Hosting a former adversary at the White House allows him to showcase statesmanship and foreign policy breakthroughs ahead of the next election cycle. Economic and reconstruction interests. Sanctions relief opens the door to U.S. and Western investment in Syria's reconstruction, a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. It also ensures that American firms, rather than solely Russian or Chinese ones, will have a chance to participate in rebuilding infrastructure and energy. Why sectors? A calculated transaction, not just. Diplomacy in truth, the meeting was not merely symbolic, it was transactional diplomacy at its finest. The U.S. extended a hand, offering temporary relief and a chance for Syria to rejoin the global order, but kept control by limiting the relief to 180 days. This conditional timeline ensures that Washington retains leverage. If Syria fails to cooperate on counterterrorism or continues deep ties with Iran, the sanctions can snap back immediately. For Syria, it's a chance to prove itself as a legitimate state actor while benefiting from short-term economic relief. For the U.S., it's a way to reshape Syria's political direction without committing troops or long-term aid. Regional implications. The meeting sends clear signals across the Middle East. To Iran, it's a warning that its influence in Damascus may soon diminish. To Israel, it suggests Washington is seeking a more stable northern border through diplomacy. To Arab Gulf states, it shows that the U.S. remains the key power broker in regional realignments. Meanwhile, Russia, once Syria's strongest ally, may view the development with unease, as American engagement threatens to undercut Moscow's hard-won influence in the region. Conclusion: a new chapter or a calculated move. The Trump-al-Sharaa meeting marks more than a diplomatic photo op. It's the beginning of a potential geopolitical realignment. Both leaders walked away with short-term victories. Trump reinforced his image as a deal-maker. Al-Sharaa gained legitimacy on the world stage. But both also entered a long-term gamble, a strategic test to see whether cooperation can replace conflict, or whether history will repeat itself. For now, Syria has a brief window to rebuild and reform. And the world watches to see whether this 6-month experiment in engagement will evolve into genuine peace, or collapse back into the cycle of mistrust that defined the last December. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more informative videos.